Hello, 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 and welcome back to the episode of Macca in Your Attic, a Paul or Nothing spin-off show where the guest always shows me their junk. Yes, we are back, folks. We're going to go through the attic and sift through the tit and the tat to find the primo McCartney memorabilia. We're going to see 5 or maybe a few more unique, fun, strange, sentimental items from my guest Paul McCartney / Beatles collection. As always, be sure to check out the Patreon page for access to loads of episodes still in the can, and hit me up at paulmccartneypod@gmail.com or on Twitter at McCartneypod if you want to say hi. Today, everyone, I am rather excited to announce that my guest this week is one of my very favourite new Beatles media personalities and podcasters. He is the co-host of the most respectable, informative, and most importantly, hilariously entertaining Untitled Beatles podcast. His name is... His name is TJ, and we were going to go through his attic right here, right now, right everywhere, here, there, and everywhere today. Everyone, this is TJ. Welcome to the show, my friend. What's going on?
Sam, so great to be here. As Sir Paul might say, now the people down the middle, and wait for everyone to kind of do the
yeah.
Let me get a woo. Let me get a. How about the part in Trip the Life Fantastic where they edit in Bonsoir Paris.
Bonsoir Paris.
All the different salutations. Like someone thought that and P.S. Love Me Do were good ideas. I know that's not on the album. I just had to throw that reference out.
I can't remember which. It's either on Tripping or on Paul is Live. It's where he announces a song off the new album, and there's no reaction from the crowd whatsoever. I can't remember. I think it's on Tripping. I mean, of course they'll kick off for Figure of Eight. It's the opening song. It might be like,
yeah.
It might be like, so this one's called Rough Ride, and the crowd just goes, all right, I guess, whatever.
It's like on Back in the U.S. when the bass intro to Lonely Road starts and you can hear footsteps leaving to buy a beer.
No, dude, honestly, I feel so bad.
Screaming.
I feel so bad because I found out that My Valentine is the song on the tour that I saw him on, the Out There tour, where people go to the toilet, and that's when I went. And that's when I went to the toilet. I feel.
You didn't stay to watch images of Natalie Portman and Johnny Depp on a massive screen, Sam?
No. I've had enough images of Johnny Depp for a lifetime now, especially recently.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Bad luck.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, thank you so much for coming on. Whenever I cycle to work, I either listen to Dan Carlin's Hardcore History, I listen to Come Town, or I listen to the Untitled Beatles podcast. Those are my 3 favorite things to listen to.
Oh, thank you.
I'm a little starstruck right now. I mean, it's not quite meeting the ghost of Henry McCullough, but this is a good second place,
It's right. If I can, let me be your random wing. Can I be Joe English for you? Who can I be?
You'll be lucky to be Jeff Britton, my friend. You'll be.
That's Jeff with a G, my friend.
Yeah.
Jeff Britton. Exactly.
Yeah.
No, Sam, we're huge fans of yours for a bunch of reasons. One, your podcast gives us permission when we think we're going long. We go, did you hear last week's Paul or Nothing?
Yes.
So
it was 4.5 hours long, I imagine. Yeah.
But I love it as a Paul nerd because I've been a Beatle fan so long. I'm asked a lot of the time, which Beatle are you a John guy? Are you a George? I mean, I have been a different quote unquote Beatle guy my entire life, but at heart, and some of this, I was born in 74, the volume of McCartney's solo careers since I've been alive, I think I'm by default and in my heart, a Paul guy. We named our son after George. I cry every December 8th. I still cry. I'm 48 years old. And on the anniversary of John's death, I'm still in tears that day. But I think I'm a Paul guy. And that's one of the reasons I love your podcast so much is because the little stuff, the big stuff, I get it. And I love it.
No, I've just done an episode on Rupert the Bear, and I've tried to give it the same gravitas and respect as, say, Tug of War, But
I mean, all right, win or lose, sink or swim. One thing is certain, Sam, we will never give in.
Honestly, I'm still blown away that Palace of the King of the Birds is a reference to Rupert the Bear that he snuck in the Let It Be sessions. Is that him?
Yeah.
John won't know what this is. It's called the Palace of the King of the Birds. Boo! It's like, that is insane. That is insane. Oh, but yeah, I can see that you are surrounded by various Beatles memorabilia. Is this the closest thing you have to a Beatles room? Have you been curbed from going full Beatle room?
Yeah, here's what's a little tricky is that, you know, I live with my wife and my son, and my office all my life has always been just a collection of Beatles stuff. And it just so happens what you can't see, most of the vinyl is this way and this way. I've got a bunch pulled out with all the 45s on top. The closet's full of, in my closet are 8 tracks and cassette tapes because everybody needs
Oh,
two different versions of something new on cassette, Sam. And but behind me, it's a lot more the new stuff. Like, because this is, by the time I bought the nice bookshelves, it's the 2014 vinyl reissues. It's the US albums, a lot of the more recent box sets, a lot of the McCartney. I had to stop buying. I don't know where you at with these, but you know, I'm not like a millionaire. I had to stop buying the McCartney Deluxe Archive Edition books because they look beautiful. But how often I spent $119 on the McCartney 2 book with it. Like, how often am I reading that? So I've got a few of the archive collection books here, a lot of the Bruce Spicer books, which to me are as essential as the Mark Lewison books. But yeah, so this is what you and what on this wall real quick, you can't see it, is a poster I had framed when I bought this condo that I've had in my room since I was a kid. And it says the Beatles complete your collection. And it's all the Capitol albums from Meet the Beatles through Real Music, because that's what I grew up on. And staring at all the Capitol records is inspiring for me and my work. I see the American Help cover, Rubber Soul, Yesterday and Today, then Revolver, and it warms my dumb American heart.
no, the American stuff, that is something that I do need to get on. I think the only one that I've got an American Magical Mystery Tour, because that's superior to the British one in almost every respect. It's a single disc, it has more songs, and I've got an American Rubber Soul. Now, I used to have the English Rubber Soul, but I had a bad breakup and things were broken in a rage that I inspired. So I also lost a vinyl version of Let It Be Naked that day as well.
Oh no, that's hard to find too. That Let It Be Naked vinyl, at least in the States, you could not. I got an import of it at a Virgin Megastore. That's hard to find. Sorry, buddy.
It's not the only Let It Be Naked tragedy I've had in my life. A previous girlfriend to that one, I bought her dad Let It Be Naked for his birthday. And then a day later, his car was broken into and it was stolen. So that I was very glad for the 50th anniversary box to come out and kind of wipe the slate clean in terms of that curse. Right. It felt like a Stephen King novel. Thinner, you know. But yeah.
Yeah. I that Let It Be Naked vinyl came with the Fly on the Wall 45. I joked with my Untitled Beatles cast partner, my dear friend Tony Mendoza. I joked that my favorite double A-sided Beatles single is Fly on the Wall. What a classic. You can keep Hey Jude Revolution. I'm a Fly on the Wall side B guy.
Is there anything that you would like to see as a released product, like anything of like Beatle content that hasn't already been made? Like for me, I'd love a single of Revolution Take 20, maybe backed with That Means a Lot or something like that. Just something weird and out there. Like there's so many variations that they could just put out and make us buy and then put it on blue vinyl and pink vinyl. They could make so much money here.
That is such a great question, Sam. And I think there was a missed opportunity when the anthology albums came out. They had the singles, the 45s of Free as a Bird from Anthology 1 and Real Love from Anthology 2, but with no Now and Then, there was no single from Anthology 3. How cool would it be for some anniversary to issue singles of even the stuff we've heard before, the stuff that's on the anthologies, as like limited 45s? It's like, I don't know if you remember when for the McCartney Run Devil Run album, they released a 7-inch box set, the big box with all the 45s. I think they were all in mono too, whereas they were on stereo on the LP and CD. I think I could be wrong. If you listen to the Beatles podcast, I'm wrong a lot. Yeah. Yes, Fabulous is on there. Yeah, the bonus song. But it'd be cool if they did that with anthology. So you know, you have a bunch of 45s of some of the working stuff. What I really want to see, the American Rarities is one that you should get, just because even though very few tracks on it are rare, but it's got the I Am the Walrus with the extended instrumental part in the middle. It's got Penny Lane with the trumpet coda that I've always wanted a digital remaster of that. They put it on the Pepper box set sourced from a 45, which is fucking ridiculous when even a skeleton version that could exist that they did for Rarities could be there. And I Love Her with the extra ending, some of the obscure stuff that isn't like an alternate take, but is rather a different edit for a different country. That I want on CD officially.
For me, the big one is still hot hits and cold cuts. But I mean, I just did a Patreon exclusive vlog. Check out the Patreon, give me money. But I went through all my non-Beatles vinyl collection, and the biggest chunk of vinyl that I've got that isn't Beatles related is my Tom Waits collection. I'm only missing a couple of albums. Oh yeah, probably rivals Paul for the greatest singer-songwriter ever to exist. Probably the greatest American singer-songwriter by
over
far.
Bob Dylan. Okay. That gets about okay. I'm not gonna push back. I'm not gonna push back.
No.
Over Stevie Wonder. Okay, I'm not gonna push back. I'm not gonna
no. I mean, top 3 albums of all time, probably number 2 is Songs in the Key of Life. I saw Stevie live on that tour he did a couple of years ago. That was better than my Paul gig. I'll say that right now. But what Tom Waits did for one of his last projects was Orphans, which was a triple album broken down into Ballers, Brawlers, and Bastards. And it was 3 double albums of all of the stuff he's done. So soundtracks, unreleased stuff, alternate takes. It was a fan's dream. It came up before I became a fan, so it wasn't like that revelatory for me. It wasn't that anticipated. But if Paul did a triple album box set of hot hits and cold cuts, because there is enough for it. There is totally enough for it, an anthology analog. Oh my God.
Sam, 100%. And what a missed opportunity that Pure McCartney box set was a couple years ago. I mean, if memory served, one of those tracks from that unreleased McCartney album, Catch All, was going to be on All the Best. Wasn't Water Spout going to be on All the Best and then was scrapped? Yeah. I think so. Paul's hinted at it a million times. There's been different track lists, but Pure McCartney with a beautiful box set of me. Like, the fuck do I need, Wine Dark Open Sea on this when you can give me A Love for You or Cage or something I don't already have? I mean, that's where the Pure McCartney wingspan a little bit too, except for I think a snippet of Hey Diddle. None of that had been rare before. It's like, Paul, give us something, to quote an American Beatles album, give us something new. Even if it's old, we want something that we haven't heard before.
I mean, I'm going through my hot hits and cold cuts side series, and I find new songs every day that I'm like, this is an all-time like classic composition. Seems like old times from like 78. Like, I know everyone says every Paul song Paul's ever wrote is about John. That one is about John. That one actually is about John. Familiar Music Man came from another lifetime. It's so important, and it's like it should have been in the McCartney lyrics book. It should have been in Wingspan, in Pure McCartney, and it's just been relegated to this forgotten pile, which is unforgivable. And I know it's a bit of a trite trope to say Paul McCartney's unreleased stuff is better than most people's released stuff, but it's fucking true. It's actually true. He's so good. I mean, I couldn't imagine being in a band with the guy. I mean, I do feel for the Beatles. All of my friends are way better musicians than me, and when we jam, I have to be on drums because I cannot keep up with any of them on any other instrument unless they sit me down and go, right, Sam, this is the bass part you play, and I'm like, what's the E string again? The top one, yeah. Can we do Psycho Killer again? I can play that.
It's a great song.
But yeah, no, a hot hits, cold cuts, that is the top one I'd like to see. But you know what? We're digressing already. I knew this would happen.
No, not you and me with the 2 marathon Beatles podcasts. If you want to hear both of our podcasts, you need a day off of work or you'd be an insomniac. It's 6 hours of Beatle talk, you and me.
Plus all the bonus stuff, and then you're going to watch Macca in Your Attic as well, and all the Patreon vlogs. I'll make a lot of fucking content, folks, and you can check out my Tom Waits podcast that I did before as well, which is on indefinite hiatus because the co-host doesn't want to do the Frank's Wild Years revisit episode for some reason. But yeah, when did you get into the Beatles, and when did you start collecting in Ernest.
Okay, the quick version of this is I started, my Beatle fandom started in 1978. I was 4 years old. My parents took me to see a touring musical, not a concert, but a touring musical called Beatlemania. That was the first time they put a Beatle cover band together with the costumes and a small string and horn section. It played the Winter Garden in New York. For about 3-4 years. Apple finally shut it down when Apple started to reform in the 80s. They finally killed it. But I saw the touring production in Chicago, where I grew up in the city. I saw it twice. And hearing all those Beatles songs, it was basically like almost like 20 greatest hits or one with a couple other deeper tracks thrown in. But as a 4 and 5-year-old, hearing I Want to Hold Your Hand, She Loves You, Can't Buy Me Love, A Hard Day's Night, that rush of early songs, basically, sides 1 and 2 and 3 of the Red album, which was the next thing I got. Seeing this Beatlemania changed me, and despite growing up in the late 70s through the 80s and graduating high school in the 90s, I like Star Wars, love a lot of sports, but the only thing I've ever really cared about is the Beatles. And my collection and the imports and all the American iterations began in earnest when I was probably 5 or 6 years old. And I had parents who were I'm an only child. I had parents who were very happy to buy me what I wanted within reason. But that meant, like, when the CDs came out in February of '87, when I was in 7th grade, that's one of the biggest days of my life, because I'd already heard that band for 8 years before that, and buying the CDs and this new emerging technology of compact fucking disc. Although by the time the Beatles were on CD, Sam, even then it was like 3 years. Like, Apple and Capitol and EMI have always gotten little things wrong. The Beatles weren't on CD until like 3 years after the CD boom, which now seems even more insane than it was at the time. But I was real lucky, Sam, in that growing up collecting the Beatles with some glow of Beatlemania, again, born in 74. But I'm 5 and 6 years old. What are the songs I'm hearing on the radio? I'm hearing Blow Away. I'm hearing With a Little Luck. I'm hearing Coming Up. John's Death is how I learned at 6 years old. It formed my views on gun violence. It made me, I wore a ban handguns button to school from 1st through like 6th grade. His death was the first time I remember my body and soul feeling moved. It felt like a family death. I'd only loved them for 2 years, but when you get into the Beatles at any age, you get into the Beatles. I still, when I go to New York for work, will go to the Dakota and just sit. It's meditative, not in a positive way, but it allows me, if I'm sad about the death of my parents, or sad about the death of John, or sad about things in life, I use the aura of the Dakota, steps from where John's life was taken, as a cathartic moment for me. And that all started very young. So I know that's kind of a long tangential thing, but I have been collecting the Beatles. I'm 48. I've been doing it since I was about 5 years old, my friend.
Jesus. I mean, just going back to something you say there, we lost John and George before I really became a Beatles fan in earnest. And you know, every day that I see Paul or Ringo's name in the little Twitter sidebar, I'm like, oh God, no, oh God, no, oh God, no, oh God, no. And it's always, Ringo's releasing a new single, let's change the world. And like, oh God, that's actually worse than him dying, actually. Oh no. Oh no.
Ringo's got a reggae track produced by Dave Stewart. This will be a fun 3.5 minutes.
Ringo can't wait to tour again. I'm like, I bet, I know he can't wait, but you know, I could put it off another 2 years.
Sheila E. needs something to do. I mean, in fairness, Ringo's employed a lot of, like, what's the lead singer from Supertramp doing? Nothing? All right, come hang with Ringo.
I tell you what pissed me off with the All-Star Band recently. It was like, and Hamish Stewart of the Average White Band. No, of the Paul McCartney touring band. Thank you very much. Actually, oh my God.
Wouldn't it be funny, Sam? I've thought of that. If, like, because everyone in a Ringo show gets 2 or 3 solo spots, wouldn't it be funny if Hamish Stewart's solo spot was just doing harmonies on this one? The band just plays it and Hamish goes, oh, that's what Hamish is.
He totally should do Ain't No Sunshine from the acoustic unplugged.
Oh,
that'd be so moment. Good.
Where they all switched instruments on that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I wish they switched instruments like Wings did on that cover for, I think it was for Live and Let Die, one of the cover sleeves where Linda's on the bass, sat on that stool. It's one of the sexiest images of Linda. I don't know why. It's just a good angle for her. But just think Linda's like going, it wouldn't happen. Oh no, she did bass as well for the video for Baby's Request, I think, as well. She's kind of sillily doing the upright thing.
Right.
It's probably Bill Black's bass, which Paul has never spoken about in an interview ever, except every single interview.
Except every single one.
Yeah. So
the Chaos and Creation documentary, the 3-2-1. Yeah.
Did I ever tell you about how I wrote Let It Be? No, you haven't, Paul. No, you've never told us about how that one. Did you come up with Yesterday in your sleep? Yeah, I did actually. So the story goes.
On tour about it was Eric Clapton, when he's telling the Hendrix story about can anybody tune the guitar, like, love you, Paul, but we've heard it all a million times.
Other ones recently, Check My Machine's been one he's been dropping a lot recently as like, this is my cool song for the hip kids, and it's like, Paul, please talk about Blue Sway or Country Dreamer. Talk about something really obscure, like waste someone at the enemy's time, just waste their time because they're going, I don't know what I can do with this interview, but there's like 8 people out there who are like, ooh, he's talking about what's that you're doing? Yes.
Sam, I met him. I met Paul. In fact, I'm going to show this picture real quick. In 2018, backstage in Brooklyn. This is, I don't know if you can see here, but this is me, Paul, my wife, and my then 2-year-old. And I was in tears immediately following it, just in tears. And we had friends who know friends who got us backstage, and we got to go to the after party where I didn't get to talk to Paul at the after party. I got to talk to the band. I got to ask Wicks a couple questions, and I had rehearsed what I was going to say to Paul because I knew I was going to be meeting him, and I didn't say it because I didn't want to be looked at as a crazy person. But what I was going to say to him was, Paul, for many people, they think of you and they think Rubber Soul, Revolver, Pepper, etc. When I think of you, I think Tug of War, Pipes of Peace, Broad Street, and Press to Play, because those are the records when I was a little kid and a teenager that were coming out in real time that all I wanted to hear. And then I thought, if I told Paul McCartney, if I compared Press to Play with Revolver in front of Paul McCartney, I think he'd be like, who the fuck is this guy? And why did somebody let him talk to me? But like what I wanted to say was letting Paul know that even the obscure quote unquote, Only Love Remains is not here, there, and everywhere. But for me as a 12-year-old, it was. That's what I wanted to convey to him that I didn't actually say, because I understand some McCartney materials better than other McCartney material. But the wealth of his career is Driving Rain can mean as much to someone as Getting Better can, and that's fine. He's the genius of geniuses and the obscure stuff. So to your point, yeah, like when he's on tour now, I don't know if you've seen the set list for the tours in Seattle.
We've got one new song so far. We've got one new song, Women and Wives.
Yeah, well, so he's doing Women and Wives, which I get because it's from McCartney 3. But listen, Sam, with all the material, the man hasn't done Silly Love Songs since '76. He's never done Take It Away. Why are you playing Queenie Eye? Does anybody in 2022 show up to a McCartney show and think, that one track from New that I really want to hear tonight is Queenie Eye? It's not even a new album. He's got 2 albums since. So his set list confound me. I've seen him 16 times. I can't afford to go on this legs. He's not playing near Chicago. I hope he comes back to Chicago or Milwaukee or one of the nearby cities in the fall. But Dance Tonight is fine and New is okay. But if you want to do something that's more recent, bring back Flaming Pie or play Calico Skies on the acoustic set, or even do My Brave Facing Him for the first time since I think early in the New World Tour, they played it and then dropped it. But so I'm forgive the tangent, Sam, but he's got so much material that you're right to hear talking about Check My Machine and then to hear Women and Wives in concert. Give me Ballroom Dancing, buddy, for the first time.
Look, I totally get the whole, I want everyone to have the same experience in case it's their first Paul McCartney gig. And I'm like, that's true, but do you look at the stats of these gigs, Paul? There's a lot of returning faces here. There's a lot of people who have seen you 10, 20 times. And if you want to represent every album, which is a totally valid thing to want to do on a set list, and you want to do songs that are within your current vocal range. Okay, get rid of new or Queenie. I do appreciate. Do early days, yes. I mean, I don't really know Driving Rain or Memory Almost Full. I haven't got to those yet. Part of the podcast is that it's a chronological discovery for me. But, sure. There are so many tracks that he hasn't done. Like Back on My Feet would be such a good replacement for so many tracks.
It's one of my first show and tell items for you. We'll get to that.
But that also should have been on All the Best as well, to be fair. So let's go through the usual suspect questions. How are you buying stuff these days, dude? Is it all on eBay? Is it through Jeff Bezos, or do you actually have a physical? Hang on, this meeting will end in 10 minutes. Upgrade now to remove the 40-minute time limit. We might have to do this in 2 or more parts, dude.
That's okay. It's exciting.
That's very strange.
Let me call my agent. We didn't fucking talk about this.
Let me take that question again. So, sure. Dude, how are you buying stuff these days? Is it all on eBay? Is it through Mr. Jeff Bezos? Or do you have a physical store or stores that you go into?
I am very lucky in the Chicago metro area that this is a city that still has a lot of top tier record stores where things are priced really well. I'll be honest when I say that I tend to buy older catalog or rare stuff I don't have at the physical shops. And I'm not proud to say this, but I'm going to be honest right now because I do try to support my local record store and I do buy old stuff there. But with a kid, we buy so much crap on Amazon that I treat my Amazon credit cards. My wife knows this. It's one reason I'm in therapy. I call them Beatle points. So I accumulate Beatle points buying stuff for my son and, we need a new, nightlight, all that stuff. And then when like a Let It Be box set comes out and I got $111 in Beatle points, I order from Amazon because it's only $65 because I'm using Beatle points toward it. So I try to buy as much as I can at like Reckless Records. There's one in London. The original Reckless is actually in London, in Soho, I believe, but there's 3 in Chicago. And I try to buy at Reckless or Dave's or Lori's Planet of Sound or great place in Evanston. I'm forgetting the name right now. It's a bookstore and a record store. Squeeze Box. So, but I want to support my local stores. But when I've got all these credits for the Bezos empire, I got to send the guy to space, my man. Gotta let him fly.
Oh man. I wish I said I could say the same. No matter where you go in England, there's normally just one record store per town, except for the guy that I had on last before you. He seems to have the greatest couple of chains in his area. He was like, yeah, I've got Fireman stuff. He'll have Driving Rain on vinyl. I'm like, what's good? Whereas me, it's, oh, look, he's got 12 copies of Say, Say, Say and 14 copies of Live and Let Die. And it's like, yeah, you can clearly tell what was bought in large numbers because it's what's on sale secondhand. I mean, when I saw a copy of Wildlife, one of the original pressings going, just like it was buried at the back, and I was like, that right now, got to buy it right now. But Sam, you don't have a bag. I'll carry it. It doesn't matter. I need a copy of Wildlife right now. Maybe I can be that guy that Paul saw, carrying his copy through in LA. Oh, that's a good album,
Every Bad Paul album, he's got a story about driving somewhere and somebody's like, hey, I'm listening to the cassette of Red Rose Speedway. It's a great album, man. I'm like, no, Paul, nobody's ever said that to you. Nobody likes Lazy Dynamite enough to make that comment.
Well, like, he always seems to rag on Back to the Egg, and I'm like, it was still like a number 3 album that went like multiple platinum, right? That you don't have to be number 1. I know you had to impress Capitol, and I know that they were upset that you didn't put Good Night Tonight on the album. You didn't put Coming Up, the Yankee Doodle version on McCartney 2. But, you still did pretty well, Paul. You're doing all right. I'm sure you're making profit.
I think Paul's doing okay. And Back to the Egg, an underrated album. That album's aged as well as any Wings album. It's Back to the Egg over Wings of the Speed of Sound 10 out of 10 times.
I think every Wings album's over Wings at the Speed of Sound, to be fair.
I'm glad to hear you say that. That's not just generational good. Like, everybody, great. And now here's Cook in the House. I love you, Linda. Don't need it.
Won't do it now, bam. Actually, I've got a bit of a soft spot for Cook of the House. I'm not gonna lie, but something that I think I struggle to get across to a lot of people when I'm doing the podcast is it's okay to like something ironically and not be a dickhead about it. You know what I mean? Like, of course, I don't like all of the Red Rose Speedway medley as much as I like Power Cut, but you know, I can listen to Lazy Dynamite and Hands of Love, and on one hand, I'm kind of enjoying the harmonies and the production, but on the other hand, I'm also kind of like, yeah, this isn't particularly good. This isn't the best stuff that Paul was doing at the time. I'd rather be listening to Best Friend or 1882. Oh God, that reminds me. I ordered the Red Rose Speedway, the album on its own, the double album. I didn't get the box set. And my postman or postwoman or post person, I'm going to be politically correct. My post person left it out in the rain, and it was face down in a puddle, and the front cover is just not perfect anymore.
No.
I was like, if it was like a 12-inch of Once Upon a Long Ago, I'd be like, okay, I'll spend another couple of quid. But that was like £40, like $60. I was absolutely. The album still sounds great. I put the cardboard on a radiator and let it dry out, so it's not like physically deteriorated or anything, but I'd already had a bad day at work, and then you come home to see your Red Rose Speedway double albums face down in a puddle. Doesn't feel good, bro. Doesn't feel good.
Oddly enough, in a puddle, Little Lamb Dragonflies 2 minutes longer after it's been wet. It's like a gremlin. It gets bigger as it gets wet.
Another song that was meant to be for the Rupert album as well. I can't believe that's a real thing. Oh my gosh. Could you imagine just like you're watching this whimsical Rupert the Bear adventure with a kid, and then it's Dragonfly. What is going on here? This is a bit too emotional.
I'm waiting.
Yeah. I'm waiting to see. Oh my.
May I tell you a quick Rupert the Bear story? Here in the States, they put Rupert the Bear right before Broad Street. And I was 10 when Broad Street came out. My mother took me to see it. My parents didn't hate the Beatles, but they weren't like Beatles. They were more folk fans than Beatles fans. So it's not like they were diehard Beatles fans, but they knew how big I was. And when I was 10, they took me to see Broad Street in theaters for the 7 minutes it played in theaters in the States. That thing was here and gone, Broad Street was. But they opened with Rupert the Bear, which I had in the States. We have no concept of that character. That really never made it over here to America. So I didn't, it was just this lush cartoon with a McCartney song that has stuck with me, Sam, ever since. I got the weird shaped picture disc. It's bigger, like a 10-inch. It's great. I got that in '84 as an import at Beatlefest. And what I will never forget is how, so even though that's a cheesy song that's never been officially released in the States, it is a top 15 Paul song of mine. Because I will always associate being top 15. That the key change, and when the orchestra comes in, and that very I forgot if George Martin orchestrated today. I think he did. It sounds like a George Martin orchestration. When the orchestration breaks in, it's as beautiful as anything he ever scored.
No, I can't argue with that. It's not in my top 50%, I'd say.
You're not like the frogs.
I'm more of a
the cats. Meow, meow, meow.
I don't like the humming version either, but I've always been more of a Tropic Island hum kind of guy.
Hum, hum, hum.
Welcome to our island. Glad you came to call. We are simple people. Why are we this way? It's a
bungle. It's a
the way that we bang at the big bass drum. It's the way that we sing at the song.
Hum, hum, hum.
You don't know how badly I don't even want someone to talk on the show. I just want a little monkey to sit with a piano and just do little stings.
That's me.
Yeah,
I'm a monkey. This comes out a lot on the Beatles podcast. So Seamoon. Is that the intro I should have been in? Obviously it is. You played this for 40 years, Paul. It's not spontaneous.
Can you do Babyface?
Oh, pre-Hey Jude?
Yeah.
baby face. How's he doing?
He got the no, he goes, ha, dun, 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 baby face.
Oh, right. Right, totally. And then he's like, no, well, what I meant to say, hey, Jude.
Gonna get the chords right this time.
Yeah, right. It's like an Unplugged. This is so informal. We'll start again. Well, you did this earlier in rehearsal, so
Yes.
It is informal, and you're lying to us. I say it with love, Sam. When I'm critical of Paul, it's like being critical of a relative. I say it with love, but if you can't mock Paul, you don't truly love Paul.
I totally agreed. So would it be correct in saying that vinyl is your main area of interest with Beatle memorabilia? Where's your stance on things like, you know, bubble gum or lunch boxes or little soap dispensers, anything like that?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I had some of that stuff. Like, these are Beatle bed sheets I used to have up on my wall from the September 6th stay in Detroit at the Whittier Hotel. I've got one of all 4 Beatles. They're not worth anything. They're torn up. I had these in my room when I was 8. But, you know, yeah, I used to collect stuff like this. Maybe one of the nicest things I have, I keep off-site at a storage locker, and it's a glass that they gave to record stores, like a huge glass like you drink out of,
Wow.
for the release of real music with artwork from all the Beatles movies on it with the Capitol logo that I knew was rare when I was 8. So that's never, it's sitting in a locker. That's because it's, I've moved several times, but other than that, it's predominantly vinyl. My record and 45 collections, what I hang my hat on. And listen, man, it gets harder when you get older and you got a family going. Like, I'm 48 years old. I've got 5 copies of, you know, the American Rubber Soul with different label. Like, at some point, I know, like, my son's going to be like, oh, dad was fucking crazy. You know what I'm doing? It's like, why does he have the Penny Lane 45 6 times? Well, you see, one's in the purple Capitol and one's in the rainbow Capitol. One's the yellow and orange swirl. So, you know, one's the Parlophone issue. So yeah, predominantly vinyl, but certainly I've got a ton of CDs. When I sold all my CDs sometime in the late 2000s, because I uploaded everything on iTunes, I saved all the Beatles and Beatles related stuff, because my CD collection was massive. You know, all the classic rock stuff, Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and the Stones. And, you know, I do a lot of musicals, so a lot of musical theater stuff and newer stuff like Wilco and Ben Folds. I sold all that, but I kept all the Beatles CDs. I don't listen to them because they're all uploaded. But yeah, what about you? Are you predominantly vinyl, or do you collect what we call ephemera, the buttons, the this, the that? What about you?
If I've got a spare couple of pennies going, I might buy like an old CD or a cassette. You know, I was very happy to buy the McCartney 3 Imagined box where you get the shirt and the dice and the little postcards and stuff and the pencils. I actually use those dice for board games and Yu-Gi-Oh now, and the McCartney 3 Imagined has actually worn off now, so I've completely ruined the value of it. But the dice themselves are fine, but it's the value that I get out of them. You know, it's what makes me happy. I'm not a fan of anyone who buys vinyl then never plays it. My mom got me one Christmas, I got myself McCartney 3, then she got me the H&V Blue exclusive, and she was like, you are never to play this. And I'm like, again, the moment she was out the front door, whack, straight on. You know, oh my God. And I don't know why, but McCartney vinyl always sounds better in a different color. I don't know what it is.
Well, they banked on that for McCartney 3. I mean, you couldn't keep up. I think I've got the Spotify Coke bottle one, and I've wanted the Newbury Comics one, the record store in Boston. But
is that the white one?
Yeah, it's like Coke bottle colored. It's not pure white. It's like kind of almost clear.
No, I mean, look, if Jack White wants to melt down 100 copies of McCartney 2 and McCartney 1, can't he melt down 99 and send me a couple? You know, it's why not melt down a couple of his unsuccessful album releases and melt them into McCartney 3 instead?
Right, use those.
Yeah, no, but going back to what you were saying about, you know, kids stumbling across collections and selling them off. That's my bread and butter. That is like the first generation Beatle and McCartney fans. The moment they get bumped off, it's payday for me, because I'm like, right, let's hope the kids are really inconsiderate. Hopefully they lost touch. Hopefully the dad was abusive and the kids hated him. Now I'm getting this stuff cheap. Like, ooh, my fifth copy of Uwe Soleil. I'll have that. Yeah, go on.
Well, I'm going to cheat and give you my first show and tell me, like,
he's got it.
I need my son to know that this is different than Beatles VI, the Capitol States album, where there's 9 million copies in print. Like, there's a store in Owings Mills, Maryland, that I would get all my imports from in college. This came out in 93. Am I getting? Mm-hmm. Yeah, 93. That was my sophomore year of college, and I ordered this. Now, to your point, like, I play most of my vinyl a ton, but in the 90s when vinyl left the stores, I really didn't play these very much. I have all the 90s McCartney vinyl in near mint condition. Folks, look at my address and feel free to fucking steal all this. Somebody really wants Off the Ground. Actually, I don't keep a lot of this here, because it's valuable, you know. So this kind of stuff that I have is not heavily played, because again, maybe my son one day will want to do something with it, and I don't love the album enough but it's a beautiful gatefold. Have you seen one of these on vinyl before?
I've only ever seen it. Oh yeah,
it's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, and they're so expensive on eBay. Like,
yeah,
I've said this probably about 1 million times on this particular show, let alone Paul or Nothing, that my only way to get a copy of it on vinyl is going to be an archive re-release. That's probably going to be my only shot at it, really.
Yeah. And that's got to happen at some point. You know, it was weird when Paul switched, at least in the States, to the Hear Music label, the Starbucks label. They issued this again on CD. They didn't remaster it, but they gave it a new catalog number, and it had the Hear Music spine. And it's like, who's buying a CD of Off the Ground in 2008?
Some real cool cats.
Someone had some hope and deliverance right there.
Yeah, no. What? It doesn't have Big Boys Bickering on it?
Right? Oh, no B-sides? Right?
No, I mean, if they were going to do that, at least make it off the ground, the complete collection.
Yeah, the works, the double CD.
Yeah. Let's release it only in Germany and the Netherlands. That's a shrewd business move there, Paul. Not in your biggest markets or anything like that.
You know, this is what year were you born, Sam?
September 92. So I'm just prior to Off the Ground.
So let me tell you, you talk about McCartney leaving stuff off, and this is, I'm going to chew this for 30 seconds because this could be a 3-hour conversation in its own, but All the Best was issued so differently in the States.
Oh, yeah.
And there's 4 different configurations. The British LP and CD are different, and the American LP and CD are different, and they're all different from each other. But one of the most, should I jump to a rare item, or should I wait on this?
The format's loose. Don't worry about it.
Great. So, because this is one of the very first things I bought this in the spring of 1988 at a record store in Cleveland, visiting good friends of the family, because in America, this has still never been officially released. There's a Lexus promotional CD that's got McCartney songs on it, but they didn't sell it in stores. Once Upon a Long Ago was never released in the States. Paul, when All the Best came out, was allegedly frustrated with how Capitol handled the marketing of Press to Play, which bombed. At least it bombed stateside. I love the album. It was a big album for me when I was 12. So Paul, to kind of punish American fans, left this off the American All the Best. So finding the 45 of this a year later, Back on My Feet, which is a top 5 favorite McCartney song of mine. I mean, I love My Brave Face, but I think this is Back on My Feet's the best collaboration with Elvis Costello, who I also love. So even though this isn't quote unquote rare, this is one of the more meaningful 45s I bought when I was really in my McCartney journey in real time, because this came out around Christmas of 87 in the UK, I think. And I got a hold of this in spring of 88 in the States. So to this one.
No, going back to the McCartney lyrics book, like Paul Muldoon, the editor, spends so much time saying, Paul's a really cinematic writer and he writes songs like scripts or screenplays. Then why did we include Back on My Feet? That's cut back again. Like, it's literally
it's like a film.
Yeah, he's like writing the music video. It's a good thing it doesn't have a music video, probably, because it probably would have been very, very cheesy. Though, if they'd have done it like All My Trials in like black and white, kind of run down, a Razorhead nightmare industrial part of Americana, that could have been quite fun, actually.
The All My Trials video, yeah.
Oh, so
man, all right, let's jump to it because
let's just look at some shit.
In 89 and 90, Sam, in the States, you couldn't find these. These are imports only. These are the 2 off the ground CD singles. I got these at the Reckless Records on Broadway in Chicago when I was in 11th grade. This one has All My Trials on it. Again, only released in the States on Tripping the Live Fantastic Highlights, which I think is now long out of print. But this has All My Trials, Sea Moon, and the Strawberry Fields medley, where he does Strawberry Fields Forever, Help, and Give Peace a Chance. Not his finest moment, but before he resurrected Here Today, it was a lovely tribute he did in Liverpool. And then I saw him do it in Chicago. He ended his tour at Soldier Field, where the football team, the Bears, play, and in July of 90, and he did it there, which was wonderful. But this one has Mull of Kintyre with the bagpipers, and Put It There, the only one that was on Tripping the Live Fantastic. But as a huge fan of that album, and I loved your download, was it with Dylan? You did the download with on the massive breakdown of that album. That's a big album for me, and to find these bonus live tracks, again, not worth much. But Sam, as a 15-year-old in real time when these came out, finding these and adding these to my Tripping the Live Fantastic collection made me feel like I had the complete McCartney set list from all over the world in that tour. I don't think these have ever been reissued. I may be wrong, but other than these pressings, where the hell else are you finding All My Trials in 2022?
I've never even heard of those B-sides, because to me, it's The Long and Winding Road and Sea Moon are the main ones off the 7-inch and the 12-inch, I believe. That's all you get. That's crazy. I didn't know there was an actual way to get the Lennon medley. I thought that was just ephemera, that was just something that was relegated to YouTube,
I will send it to you as soon as we stop recording. It is wonderful to hear.
I can almost hear the terrible yellow and black spotted shirt already. It's
It does. It's not great. I don't want to set you up for loving it, because I much prefer the simplicity of Here Today. This sounds like he's covering John Lennon songs in 1990, if that makes any sense.
No, the best McCartney Lennon cover will probably still be Benefit of Mr. Kite. That's on the new tour as well.
Yeah.
Though
it's a great one. He led with his bass, playing the bass while singing. That blew my mind. It
does seem to me like it's a tribute to John, but it's also him going, by the way, in John's songs, I do some pretty good bass, actually. Although if that was the case, he'd probably play the incredible bass he does for Something, but he doesn't. He does the uke. So whenever we go down to George's, we get the ukuleles on.
I said this one I want to play for you now, and this is it's the same thing, which is great. But
Paul, I'm just saying, you don't come close to "I'll See You in My Dreams" by Joe Brown from the Concert for George. That's the ultimate George. Oh my God, it makes me cry just thinking about it now. It's so heartbreaking.
The confetti falling.
And then,
it's a beautiful moment.
And then you got Ringo and Jim Keltner just with the brushes and the woman that shine. Oh, it's so good.
I love his daughter's take on "Horse to Water" is a killer vocal. Sam Brown doing "You Can Take a Horse to Water" is great. It's another nice moment. I love that film.
Concert for George. Man looks up something on computer. No, no. For me, it's all about Arpan, the 23-minute
right
Eastern song
if you skip this on the Bangladesh soundtrack, feel free to skip through this now. Is basically what's going on.
Real fans think it's the best one on the album.
Oh, totally. And they slot Jeff Lynne doing the Inner Light as part of it, which is kind of a cool moment.
Yes. The Inner Light was probably like the last Beatles song I quote unquote discovered. I think maybe that or Old Brown Shoes, something like that. Both George B sides. And it's like, hey, it's cool that these exist, but it's nice that George is getting a bit of chunk of change as well.
Yes.
At this point. I was just talking about daytime, nighttime suffering. And in the notes in this book I was reading, you're saying, you know, whoever would write the B-side would still get a healthy amount of money just for writing the song that's on the other side. And then there's that great story of Paul going, look, guys, I'm going to give you all the weekend to write the B-side, and it'll be the B-side to Good Night Tonight. And whoever, you know, it does the best, I'll pick that one and we'll run with it. And then he picks his own one, which is...
in fairness, one of the great Paul McCartney songs ever.
It literally is. I'd like to think that in that weekend, that's when Denny wrote Again and Again and Again, and that's when Lawrence Juba wrote Maisie. But you just know that they probably bashed out these real crap 12-bar blues, you know, for A, E, F, G generic songs, and Paul's like, oh, it's not even as good as Cook of the House, you know.
No offense, Denny, but you don't have to be my little woman. All right, Denny.
No. I went back and re-listened to Time to Hide recently, and I'm like, Denny, why couldn't you just do this once an album? Do one of these once an album, just once every 2 years. Just write a song this good.
He's got 2 on London Town about children. Like, Denny, maybe stay away from the kids, my man.
Yeah.
Children on my lap. No, Denny.
No, but weirdly though, Deliver Your Children could be the great Denny Wings track. It could be. For me, it's up there with Time to Hide.
Yeah, I prefer Time to Hide.
Yeah.
Well, London Town. Well, we have more to get to before Zoom kicks us off. I'm about to go on a London Town rant, and I'm not going to do that right now. I will say long version of With Little Luck over the short version. I don't want to hear the single edit ever again. Give me the long version.
No, I've told this story before, but when I was at university, I was on my own, imbibing in the herb, and it was I put on my late father's copy of Wings' Greatest, and the moment that I was like,
so
I couldn't stop crying. I was so emotional. It's so good. It's
great.
It's like Serious Paul and Mad Professor McCartney 2 mixed together to make the best. Because you don't think of London Town as a synthy album, but it's some of the best synth in the whole McCartney career. It's absolutely insane.
The opening to Cafe on the Left Bank, the opening to the song London Town. I love it. And it's funny that we've talked London Town and Back to the Egg as 2 albums that have not been part of the archive collection yet. They were rumored to be released at some point, I think last year, but maybe because of Let It Be and the delay of the Lennon and the Harrison stuff, it didn't. But I cannot wait to get remastered back to because other than the Paul McCartney collection from '93, they have not been remastered.
Mm-hmm. And if we get a Back to the Egg one, we've got a big chance of a Rupert the Bear bonus disc. That's all I'm saying.
Maybe.
78, that's when it was all being mixed and put together, you know. If we got, but actually, to be fair though, it'll probably end up like Wings Live 72, and it won't be released except on the major format.
That massive, expensive DVD box set.
Yeah, but like Paul has the gall to not release Wings Live 72, and yet when we were promised that on McCartney 3 Imagined that the bonus track with Idris Elba was going to be on hard copy only, on physical format only, and then 3 weeks later it's on Spotify, it makes no sense. And what's worse, you can actually type in Wings 72 live on Spotify and it comes up, but it's blocked and you have to have a code.
Because you got to buy the whole set, right? Because there was a Wildlife Railroad Speedway box, which I didn't buy. I think that's unfair. The same with like James Paul McCartney, I think from the Red Rose Speedway. There's a few things that like I wanted, but I can't. You know, I'm not. The problem with being a Beatles fan is like very few of us are made of money. I'm saving my money for the Let It Be box. I'm saving my Beatle points for the All Things Must Pass box. As much as I don't need James Paul McCartney on DVD that badly. I'd like it, but I'm not going to spend $250 on it.
Plus, like, if we're talking about real figures here, Paul's probably made more money off his YouTube page than any of his releases in the past five years. I mean, Comments are turned off on all of them, which I think is hilarious, by the way. No negative comments whatsoever. But I mean, just upload Broad Street to YouTube, Paul, for free. Put it in HD. Upload the Bruce McMahon show, the James Paul McCartney TV special, because then you cut out the bootleggers and you actually get some money for it. I think that's a much more sensible way of doing it.
How about it Unplugged, which was only part of which was on that McCartney Years DVD? Where the hell's the entirety of Unplugged?
Again, you can get it on YouTube, but it looks like a potato. It looks absolutely horrible. The up close gig, the documentaries for Press to Play, Flowers in the Dirt, you know, all of that stuff that should just be on Paul's channel for free. It's the modern era. The McCartney Years DVD remaster or re-release. It's never going to happen because it's old format. Or here we go. If Paul and the Beatles are so in bed with Disney, just put it all on Disney Plus. Just put.
My friend, that's the future. That we're next going to see remastered anthology on Disney Plus. I feel it in my gut. That's the future for Beatles streaming.
But with bonus content, maybe extra interviews added in. Oh my God! Just even more inaccuracies, like Ringo going, "When I met Elvis, I was doing a handstand, I think, and Paul's doing a cartwheel at the time, and, you know, I was dressed as Thomas the Tank Engine, I believe." Yeah. Yeah. We there's never going to be enough Beatle product, is there? You know. You hear the first song on the radio for free. You get your first one for free, and then the rest you got to pay for it. They got you by the balls here.
The Beatles are what everyone said marijuana was, which marijuana is not, at least to me, not a gateway drug. The Beatles are a gateway drug to more Beatles.
Yes. No. I'm just imagining like a version of Reefer Madness, but about the Beatles. Like, look at this poor boy. He spent all his money on American copies of Rubber Soul, and he's on the street sucking dick for money. You know?
Next thing you know, it starts with cocaine and ends with seeking out the Curly Sue soundtrack to get Ringo's cover of "Don't Be Cruel." Like, well, no, actually, that might be worse.
Speaking of stuff I want to buy, there was one of the best episodes you guys did, which was like random, weird, esoteric Beatles covers, and it was all like disco stuff and like disco medleys and albums where they do like 5 or 6 songs in a row, and it's all set to Beatles stuff. Oh, come on, Paul, put that on the archive remasters. I think it was like Tony Van Duyn or something like that. She does a version of Venus and Mars in like disco. That should have been on the Venus and Mars box set. Like, it's so good, you know. Because Paul can afford it. I'm sure he can afford to pay Burt Camford 50 quid for "Oh Woman Oh Why" instrumental.
He probably owns it already. Paid for it. I think MPL owns every song ever released.
Yes. We're all still looking forward to that musical that's never coming out.
Is that Miracle on 34th Street? It's a Wonderful Life?
It's a Wonderful Life,
Yeah.
You know, you just gotta listen to Paul McCartney. It's absolutely Merry Christmas, wonderful Christmas time. Oh my God, that's what's gonna happen.
Moon is up. Oh no.
Oh my God. Jimmy Stewart's gonna be running down the street doing Same Time Next Year. It's gonna be bad.
Oh, that will definitely be in there. What if it's all Hot Hits, Cold Cuts is the score? What if it's all that stuff?
You know, Mr. Potter, you remind me of a water spout. You know, Mr. Potter, we're having a financial crisis, but it's very similar to a boil crisis. You know, Paul, I love you, but even some of these are a bit of a stretch. Not exactly the right kind of context there.
He finally found a landing spot for "Will It Be the Same Love?"
Yes. So this place set in Lindiana. Oh no, he's gonna no, not again.
God, why did they spend all this money to hear Christian bop?
Or Christian pop, as every bootleg incorrectly labels.
That's
it.
Right.
Dun, 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 dun. No, yeah, I mean, speaking of archive releases again, why wasn't all of the Phil Ramone sessions included on Flowers in the Dirt? I mean, maybe you can include it on a press to play one when that comes out.
What I think is happening, I think that's what's being said. It's that Spies Like Us, that'll all be on press, because you're going to have to do press to play, and you're going to have to. There are people like me for whom Broad Street was a massive album. To this day, No More Lonely Nights, one of his highest charting songs of the last 30 years, has never been done live.
No.
Not even Only Love Remains had a couple live TV readings, but No More Lonely Nights never been done live. Not Such a Bad Boy, No Values, some of the great McCartney rockers in a 15-year period. So there's going to have to be an archive edition, and some of those songs will appear on those. But that Phil Ramone stuff from 86, 87, some great stuff in there. It's a shame that press to play is remembered so badly. I think I remember it well because of my age and the fact that I was so into it. But the lead single, Press, I'll hold up with any mid-'80s track. Press is a fun, inventive, melodic, hooky song, even though he was too proud of Oklahoma was never like this. Every interview from around then, he's like,
he's never told us
great things. Yeah.
It's whatever you want it to be, you know? Yeah. No,
exactly.
For press to play, it's got three of his best songs ever. You've got Pretty Little Head, which is one of his all-time greatest tunes. Like it's just McCartney 2 again, but weirder and darker. You've got Talk More Talk, which is basically like his version of Revolution 9 in the sense that it's got this weird experimental stuff, but then it goes back to a jaunty little rhythm and a fun song again.
Yeah.
Like he can't do it too long, too hard. And then you've got Footprints, which might literally be the best post-Beatle acoustic picker of the solo age. Yeah.
Overput it there. Okay.
Oh, and then that what the fuck is that solo? You know, dong, 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 dong,
yes.
dong, dong. I have no idea what instrument that is. It feels like he's playing a bunch of pipes or something. It's a very, very strange solo. It's so beguiling, so enrapturing. I love that song.
I think it's awesome that you were born years after that album was released and still have an appreciation for it. Because again, that's I was 12, 13 living in that cassette tape, and Only Love Remains, the single version, is one of my favorite, much better than the studio version. It's more treacly, but that's fine. So it's just cool to me that someone born after that album came out is a soft spot for press to play that gives me faith in the world.
The problem with press to play is that it's backwards. Side 2 should actually be side 1, and side 1 should be side 2, because ending it on However Absurd is absurd, to be frank. It should end with Only Love Remains, and you should, like, what does side 2 start with? Is it like Angry or something like that?
That's a good, it's been so long since I've heard this on vinyl. The single version of Angry is a different mix too.
Yeah.
But Phil Collins.
What the hell gave you the right to tell me what to do with my life? Oh, it's so good, that song.
It's a cool track.
Yeah. I mean, just going back to what you were saying about Broad Street as well. I love how Broad Street is this hint at what a generic McCartney rock album could have been like in 85 with like No Values and Not Such a Bad Boy. Just him doing, he's not doing anything weird. He's not shouting at his producer. He's not with Dave Stewart. It's just, what would a Paul McCartney solo rock album have looked like? It would have looked like that. And no, it wouldn't have been one of his most highly rated albums, I don't think, but it would have been a real album of, you know, because like before you got Tug of War and Pubs of Peace, it's the pop rock thing, and then after that he kind of goes back to the pop rock thing. But if you'd just done an album of No Values and Not Such a Bad Boy, well, I'm not going to talk about No More Lonely Nights because I did a ranking of Paul McCartney singles and it might have come at the bottom.
That's fair. It was a massive hit though. You couldn't go anywhere without hearing that song for much of the mid-'80s. It was a massive hit, and that song's the reason that album sold. People did not need the 80s Al Jarreau saxophone intro to The Long and Winding Road.
No, the worst bit on that album is when he changes one of the lyrics. He changed the lyrics to one of the
In Here,
songs.
There, and Everywhere. To lead a better life, I need a love of my own.
Oh, God.
What are you doing, Paul?
Why? I don't know why I'm doing Dice Clay impressions. Oh, no. Mary had a little lamb. Oh.
Funny you say that. Our episode, I don't know when this is going to air, but the next Untitled Beatles podcast, which you can pick up wherever podcasts are sold, has a bunch of Andrew Dice Clay drops in it. So there must be on Beatle Brain right now because we got a lot of dice coming up, and mockingly, of course.
I don't think he's very good at all, but one of his bits, me and my friends reproduce on a near daily basis. My cum is so thick and pulpy. You don't swallow my load, you chew it. It's so fucking funny. 8
people laughing, and then there's 3 beats, and then he goes on to the next thing. His routines are ridiculous.
Oh my god! But if Paul had done "Mary Had a Little Lamb" in the Dice style, that would have been something. Definitely, you know, Mary had a little lamb, and you know, go fuck your mother. You know. Oh.
I love the key change in that. He changes keys for the final, and you can even sing it. Very funny to me.
No, my granddad, every time I saw him, he'd go to my sister. Mary had a little lamb who climbed upon a pylon. 10,000 volts went through its wool, and now the wool is nylon. And then he'd just go and talk about something else. Yeah, just classic, like not even dad humor, granddad humor. No one talks about granddad humor. Let me just open these curtains. I feel like I'm fading into darkness here.
Sure. Fading in, fading out, as Ringo might say.
Is that better? Oh, I can feel the sun shining. I can feel the sun shining on you.
All the beauty. One of his great songs. First, Good Times Coming's not super strong, but Feel the Sunshine In. Mwah, delectable. Yeah. I like the longer version that on the original edit of that before it was edited.
No, the 2 of my favorite YouTube finds, and they're always taken down and re-uploaded, rather like Revolution Take 20, the Press to Play sessions and the Back to the Egg sessions. Oh my god! Like, yes, I want 4 different versions of Cage. One that's an instrumental, one with different lyrics, one that doesn't have the middle 8th in it, one that doesn't have the Calliope bit at the end. Give me all of that shit. I'll take that. But with the Press to Play one, which will be taken down the moment the Press to Play archive box is announced. But
yes,
it's like 5 or 6 versions of Pretty Little Head. Like, you've got mixes for the album, mixes for the single, the original demo, different musicians on it. Each one of them is better than the last. It's absolutely phenomenal stuff.
A lot of takes got out from that session. There's 17 takes of It's Not True, and of which like 6 were released.
Not true. That's not true.
It's not true. Okay, are you looking at the clock? Do we have to be concerned with clock, or are we good?
We've got about 6 minutes until it cuts off again. So let's have a look at an item before I don't know who controls Zoom, but whatever bastard CEO is forcing money out of my pocket.
Someone making more money than we are. I will go quick with this item. This is one of the rare Beatles items I own, and because our car, for you youngsters out there, had something called an 8-track player, and one of the very last Beatles 8-tracks ever released was still in stores about 3 years after the release, and they were clearing 8-tracks out at the Peaches Records, for you Chicagoans out there, long gone on Diversity and Sheffield. And this, my friend, is the Beatles' real music on 8-track tape.
Oh, wow.
And
look at that.
It makes me maybe only played 5 or 6 times. The tape heads look all right, but like, this was bought at a store at the time in a bin where they had all these 8-tracks that were clearing out, because by the mid 80s, nobody was buying 8-track tapes. We still have one in our car, a decent car from the late 70s. So my dad held on to it for a long time. And because I was in the Beatles, I got a bunch of random 8-tracks, but the one that you can't find anywhere, even on like Discogs and stuff, it's hard to find, is this real music on 8-track tape. And I keep it up in the office on display. It just makes me happy because it's a terrible album cover. Real music in itself was ridiculous, coming just before 20 Greatest Hits in 82, loosely capitalizing on Lennon's death from just 2 years before. The movie medley single was so fucking bad it wasn't even included on the Real Music album. So yeah, this is a fun one I have. I don't know if this was ever released in 8-track anywhere else in the world, but at least on Capitol here in the States, it was very briefly.
No, I do need to eventually dip my toe into 8-track, but they'll never be played. I'll never get anything to actually play them on. I don't think I've actually
They're
got
to
the
look
capacity. No, I might be able to play CDs on my PlayStation 2. Like that, that's like in the loft
Right.
somewhere. Like you can't even play a CD anymore. There's actually no way to do it. Maybe on a DVD player going through the menu, possibly, but all of my CDs remain unplayed. If I got an 8-track, that would remain unplayed as well, I
Right.
imagine. Cassettes as well. I tried to dig out an old boombox from my dad's in the garage, and yeah, it didn't work. Didn't work at all. It was like, oh dear.
Tape.
Get a pencil, wind it back quick.
Speaking of which, this is live at the BBC on cassette, and it came with a booklet. It came with little, again, purchased in real time, man. Like, I just loved having this stuff, and it's fun seeing the CD booklet on cassette. Like, I probably only listened to this 2 times. I mean, I don't put it on, but again, what am I going to do with this? What is my son when I wind up? He walks in, God willing, many years now, finds me dead, and goes, "Huh? What is live? This unplayed live at the BBC on cassette? Oh, he's got the vinyl too." So I got to figure out what to do with this. Contact me. I'll sell this to you. I'm going to open my Discog store right here with you, Sam.
Oh man, like. How many copies does Dad need of Sheik of Araby and Bisame Mucho? How many does he need? No, I think that's the only place where you can get one of my favorite Harrison vocals, which is him doing "Take Good Care of My Baby."
Yeah,
that's so good, and it's not an anthology, and it's like, why? It's
those are just from the Decca auditions. Is that take of it? That's when George was allowed to sing like lead on half the songs in those Decca auditions. It's a lot of George. 3 Cool Cats. Yeah, a lot. And then when George Martin sang, it's like, hey man, play guitar and sing 1 song an album, and maybe you'll get a single in 9 years.
Yeah, I mean, what's that famous Cavern one? Is it some? It's not. Is it Some Other Guy?
Yeah, Some Other Guy. Yeah, it was never on an official album.
That's not on anthology either. What's going on? But we have to fit. We were just a band that made it very, very big.
Very big.
That's all.
Yeah, there's anthology one is weird because kicks off with Free as a Bird, which was lovely. That's something else. I mean, I know you were younger when that came out, but holy shit, Sam, as a college student, the first new Beatles song of my lifetime.
Yeah.
I talk about being in tears. I mean, and there was a countdown on ABC here in the States. They played the Melbourne version of You Can't Do That over the end credits. And in the clock, it's like a countdown clock, like you're at an NBA game, saying like new Beatles song debuts in 20, 19, 18. And the excitement's building, and it's Paul with his finger in his mouth going, they said we couldn't get back together, but maybe we can. Paul in George's kitchen being cute.
Nah, my favorite bit about Free as a Bird is that song from from TikTok. Whatever happened to? Who sings that? The Shangri-Las. And then Paul steals the Shangri-La's fucking chorus and puts it in Free as a Bird, and it's seamless, and it's kind of it's now his. I love that.
Well, John stole for Come Together.
Yes.
So Paul got a little payback.
So what else have you got in your quote unquote attic for me?
I had to bring up something again. This is not rare, but this is meaningful because it's how I, as a 2nd generation Yankee fan, not of the New York, fuck the New York Yankees. I'm a Cubs fan, but fuck the Cubs too, because their ownership. But this is a CD, and the first pressing on CD of a McCartney title with which you may be familiar, called Band on the Run.
Oh, obscure.
In the States, the first pressing was on Columbia, because Paul in Canada and the States moved his stuff to Columbia from back to the Egg through Broad Street. And the reason I'm showing this is because in the States, our Band on the Run, we got Helen Wheels sandwiched in between No Words and Picasso's last words. So Helen Wheels is part of the American Band on the Run experience, since removed from it in all the normal reissues and the European reissues. But in the States, Helen Wheels was apparently an album track on Band on the Run, and I learned
I thought it was on the vinyl as well, the original American vinyl.
It is, but this is the first way I ever heard it.
Right.
So on the original Capitol, or maybe, yeah, that was Apple vinyl. It didn't have the Apple logo or the faces. But yeah, I later learned that was standard. But the first time I ever heard the record was from this compact disc. And this is, I just thought Hell on Wheels was part of Band on the Run. It's like the Dave Dexter American Experience, but as a solo McCartney record, Wings.
My dear mother, her name is Helen, and I'm Sailor Sam from Birmingham. It all fits. It's all come together rather mellifluously, and
that's wonderful.
No, I can't hear that song and not think of dear mother. Just cue a shot of me looking up at the Bates Motel in the distance.
Exactly, little psycho. Okay.
No, mother, that sailor suit doesn't fit anymore. I'm not taking another picture on the bearskin rug. Oh my gosh, no, she. I won't put her in a home. She'll definitely be a corpse in the basement while I'm dressed as her in silhouette and slashing someone's face as he falls awkwardly down the stairs in that weird shot that makes no sense in that movie whatsoever.
And yet does.
Yeah,
and yet it does.
Yeah, it's so dreamlike. But no, we're not. I mean, what Paul McCartney song would I put in Psycho? No, we're not going to have that conversation.
That's a great. Sure, I would think I'm Average Person. Nip, 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 nip.
Oh no, actually no, something off Paths of Peace. Maybe hey hey,
the Stanley Clark bass show piece. Hey hey, do 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 do. That's like the theme to an 80s sitcom that didn't exist. Is what that one feels like.
Where everybody knows you're
well played.
Yeah.
So in terms of 80s McCartney, pick an album closer: Through Our Love or Motor of Love.
Oh,
what do you pick?
Well, Through Our Love's arguably in my top 20 Paul songs. It's
really?
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. Wow. All
just
right.
that we wasted time and again. From that, I was like, I'm hooked. But I mean, McCartney closing songs are so important for me. Like so many of them are in my top 10% of his, 1985.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, going into the Band on the Run reprise. Oh my God, why doesn't he do it in concert, Sam? When he does 1985, why doesn't he do the reprise in concert? He sings it Band on the Run as a full song, but why not tag it? We all want to hear it.
No, for me though, the best version of that is from One Hand Clapping, which is just him on the piano, and he's got a cigarette, which they edit out of some of the versions, but just him on the piano with no guitar and drums or bass. That's the way to hear that song. And then they somehow edit in the album version for like the last minute and a half or so. Yeah, it's really masterfully done. Actually, it must have been one of those happy accidents, but and it's one of the only times you ever see Paul just with a mic in his hand singing. It's literally one of the only times you ever see that. It's such a rarity.
Yeah, that and some of the Coming Up video.
Yes, you want love. Yeah, that's a very good point actually. Egg on my face there.
Back to the egg on your face.
Yeah. On my brave, back to the egg on my brave face, which I've just seen another one of. Yeah,
it's great.
Oh my gosh, no, yeah, other closers, yeah, however absurd, pretty absurd. Great Day, incredible closer.
Oh, what a great closer.
Dear Friend.
Yeah, one of maybe the best song on Wildlife.
It's a cover, yes, but Love Is Strange for me might be the standout track from that one.
Yeah, and Tomorrow's great. Yeah, what am I just had a moment.
Tomorrow's probably
I love Tomorrow. Bum 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 bum. I love what he's trying to do.
Everyone says it's either like a Beatles track or something like that, but for me that's autopilot McCartney. I'm much more of what's the duet with Linda? Not Loving
I Am Your Singer.
I Am Your Singer. That's peak Wildlife for me.
Yeah, okay.
Because like I love how And like it's so meta, like they are in the song, like it's almost like Christmas Card from a Hooker in Minneapolis by Waits. You know, there's so many levels that you can look at. I Am Your Singer, and I don't count Crossroads as the closer for Venus and Mars because I've never listened to it except the first time. The closer is Treat Her Gently, Lonely Old People, a song that, like Mumbo, I kind of hated the first time I heard it, and now it's like that's one of the key Venus and Mars tracks. Now that was absolutely perfect.
Yeah,
Here we sit, and like he is one of those old
people. Yeah,
one of the, but it's not Linda and it's not Heather, it's some other lady.
Exactly. And we can't leave out Backseat of My Car from Ram, which might be, I think, one of the best closers on any Beatle related album.
You saying it's better than Cream Craw, eh?
More drums, Paul. The panting, right?
Yeah. No,
No More Lonely Nights play out version from Broad Street. I can wait. And Paul doing disco 7 years after disco had died.
It sounded like you were going into Dress Me Up as a Robber then. No, I just got the 12-inch of Take It Away, and I always love getting a 12-inch maxi single. Apparently, that's what they're called. I've never heard anyone refer to one as a maxi single ever. But I was like, "Ooh, what's the bonus track going to be? Is it going to be Boyle Crisis, one of these offcuts from these sessions?" No, it's just Dress Me Up as a Robber. I was like, an album track? Oh, come on. That's pretty
you get
lame.
Rain Clouds, which I love. Rain Clouds is delightful.
What's better, Rain Clouds or I'll Give You a Ring? That's the question.
Wait a minute. Did I get the Take It Away B-side wrong? Is Take It Away, I'll Give You a Ring?
It's one of the two. It's one.
Yeah. What is Rain Clouds?
Well, Ebony and Ivory's just the
Ebony and Ivory's Rain Clouds.
Yeah. Is it?
Oh, yes, because on the maxi single, it's the solo version where Paul, one of my least favorite moments, I know you guys talked about this, is Hamish Stewart and Paul doing a duet of Ebony and Ivory, which should have been called Ivory and Ivory.
Oh my God. It was released as the B-side to Ebony and Ivory. And then I'll Give You a Ring. Man,
that's Take It Away.
That's Take It Away, yeah.
Yeah, they're both great. And they're both better than Ode to a Koala Bear.
Yes.
Pipes of Peace era B-side.
I'm not looking forward to covering that one on the next Hot Hits and Cold Cuts episode, though I do have to do Driving Rain first before I get to that. I don't know what I'm dreading more, to be fair. I get to talk about 9/11 and Heather McCartney in the same episode. It's going to be a real fun bumper pack issue, that is.
It's one of my least favorite Paul McCartney albums. On my bottom 5 exists Driving Rain.
No, but without Heather, we wouldn't have Lavatory Lil. So it's all swings, it's all swings and roundabouts,
Or from Casting Creation, A Bit My Tongue. Oh my God, Riding to Vanity Fair, also about Heather. That's a great one to check out too.
Oh no, the one where he says "I bit my tongue," isn't that? It's like a certain softness or something like that. Oh my God!
Softness. I'm pretty sure I Bit My Tongue is because that's about Heather Mills. That's Riding to Vanity Fair. I'm pretty sure. Of course, Edibles have.
Oh no! How kind of you.
How kind of you. That's a great one too.
Yeah.
It's the second track. Casting Creation. Have you gotten to that one yet? That is a top 5 McCartney album for me.
So I'd like to tell people that I've been a very good boy and I've never gone ahead and checked stuff out, but I know quite a lot of new. I know quite a lot of chaos. There's stuff that I'm really looking forward to there. Although the one track that I'm looking forward to the most, in terms of talking about on the show, is actually off Driving Rain, and it's a little number called "Riding to Jaipur," which is literally it's in the top. It's in the top 20 McCartney songs ever. Riding to Jaipur, Riding through the night. Oh, incredible track. Oh my God. So good.
Yeah. Rinse the Raindrops is on that. There's a lot of longer jammy songs on that record, and some short ones too. She's Given Up Talking. That it's a weird album because that album is kind of colored a bit by 9/11 and the Heather Mills Experience, and Paul beginning to really dye his hair. It was a great tour. The tour to support that album, he opened with Hello Goodbye, which was a mind bender, as John might say. But yeah, there's so much great Paul. In fact, this is more of a joke. So it's everybody being forced. This is my right. Oh, Paul, we don't want to sing this. I want to show you two McCartney albums. I don't know why I have. They're not favorites, but it's part of the reason I'm going to be committed someday. I've got on vinyl Liverpool fucking Oratorio and Standing Stone.
Oh, that's so cool.
So ridiculous. So cool. You know, again, they're early 90s. I'm in high school, college. I'm buying everything Liverpool Oratorio. I've listened to this once and maybe not all the way through.
Oh man, what's next? The Liverpool Sound Collage, you know.
I want that on. Did that ever get a vinyl issue?
It okay.
Must have. I don't have that.
This is something of a new feature on Macca in Your Attic, where I go on eBay and just look it up right now. Liverpool Sound Collage. Come on. No, not CD. When have I ever looked up CD? Oh wow, no results found.
Yeah, I don't know if it got a vinyl issue.
Come on, Paul.
That's the next archive collection, is all the stuff with Youth. Ooh, Electric Arguments, 6 discs.
No,
I gotta hear Extended Highway.
It's on Discogs as a vinyl. Yeah, because
how much? What's it going for?
Oh no, this is I think it's a single of Free Now. That's going for £14.34, about $20. So
not bad.
Yeah, it's cheap when compared to a lot of the Fireman stuff. Yeah. I mean, there's a part of me right now where I'm like, do I take the last 3 months Patreon? Do I spend that on Strawberries, Ocean, Ships, Forest, or do I get that new denim jacket for the Got Back tour?
Yeah, that's sharp.
No, Phoebe from Another Kind of Mind went to see him last night, and she tried to get me those American football jackets that like jocks in Greece wear, it's like, hey, I'm the bully, I'm going to shove you against the locker. That
sure, yeah.
There was one of them for that tour. I was like, oh, I need that, and then I need to go back to my old high school and punch a Poindexter, you know what I mean? But sadly, they were all sold out immediately. I guess the entire football team beat me to it, I'm afraid, which was very sad.
But Sam, you can find a bootleg of Women and Wives Live. Why is he doing that one? Why not do Find My Way?
I think it's the vocal registry thing. Like, he could just easily do it. He's done it live on a few like interviews and stuff. Like, I think he did it for Chris Rock in the Apple interview. But like, I want him at Glastonbury to do it live with St. Vincent. That would be really cool.
Oh yeah, she did the McCartney 3 Imagined.
She's gonna be there. If she comes out and goes, wives, lovers, like that, and it just does like a crazy experimental guitar solo, that would just about do it for me.
In 2010, Sam, I saw Paul in Hyde Park in London, and Elvis Costello opened the day. It was like Elvis Costello and then Crowded House and then Paul. Great day. I was there doing I did comedy on a cruise ship, and we docked in Birmingham. Does Birmingham have a port?
No, it's essentially the country.
Oh, you land. Okay.
It's 200 miles from the nearest water source.
I wonder, well, then maybe I was hallucinating, Sam. Yeah. I don't remember. Oh, maybe it was Southampton.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah. So at any rate, we docked there, and I made my way I did Liverpool for the second time. And then I did London to see the McCartney show. And I was praying that Elvis would come out and they do One After 909 like they did in that charity show, or My Brave Face, or That Day Is Done. I kept thinking, oh, Elvis Costello's
Mistress and Maid would have been insane as well.
What about Veronica? Like just anything fucking weird, like, Or Elvis did Penny Lane for the Obama when
Mhm.
Obama honored
Mhm.
McCartney. Wonderful night. Chicago guy, huge Obama guy. So to see Obama there honoring Paul was a great, great moment in whatever 2010 or 2011. But it did not come to pass. Paul was
No.
not joined by Elvis Costello.
Oh, I mean, Glasgow's so big. Any of the people from the Three Imagine album could come on stage, and it'd be insane. You know, if Beck came on, if Josh Homme came on and did Lavatory Lil with him, any of these people, it would make it so much more interesting. I mean, in that interview a couple of weeks ago, or I think it was on McCartney's website, where it's like, oh, you know, we've got a few surprises for the tour. He literally just meant the John duet for I've Got a Feeling. I think that's what he was on about more than anything, rather than, oh no, we're actually gonna, you know, do Motor of Love. It's just something absolutely crazy.
Yeah, because there isn't a moment of bringing there isn't a Mr. Kite or the night before, or, you know, he restored Getting Better, which he hadn't done since I think the O2 tour. Since but I saw him in 05. That's my favorite set list, where he did I'll Get You, he did Please Please Me, he did She Came Through the Bathroom Window for the first time. That 05 tour is my favorite set list.
No, he needs to bring out like some not obscure Beatles ones, but just ones that just don't get the play they deserve. Like if he just came out and did I'll Follow the Sun, or
which he's done before.
Or I mean, if you're going to do a John duet and bring him back from the dead using archival footage, where's Babies in Black? Like you could definitely do that. People go nuts for that. Some proper early Beatles stuff. That'd be killer.
One of their great early live tunes. I mean, that's when they loved playing live, singing those harmonies together. The tempo was always a little slower and swampier live. Oh, I love that one.
What I love about Babies in Black, it's because as a terrible guitarist, someone who really struggles with he doesn't have bar chords, which is always a plus for me. But it's one of those songs where each chord leads into the next one. Like, oh, I understand why this is written this way. Another good example of that is Another Day. Like, with each chord, one of your fingers from the last chord is always part of the next one, so you can kind of anchor your way through the song. And like, I'm playing another day. I'm doing a good job. And then you get to the part of the song that no one enjoys playing. The so sad. It's just a really it's fun. It's a fun part to sing. It's a very boring part to play. But then you get back to right. Before we run out of time again, what other items have we got before we do?
I gave you a joke. I'll show you one last real one that I would say. I'm just going to give you a small example of this, even though I have them all. You want to get the American albums? All your listeners, I want to encourage them. There are so many millions, maybe not millions, but hundreds of thousands of pressings of the original Beatles Capitol albums. You can get them on the original Rainbow Swirl label. They were reissued on Orange Capitol, Purple Capitol. But Sam, and to your listeners, wherever you're listening, I strongly encourage you to seek out the final Capitol vinyl of the U.S. pressings from 1988. And you know they're different. They're the only pressings that have a catalog number with the number C1 on them. Everything else is like SW, or if they're mono, just W. But these are all stereo with a C1 prefix.
C1.
Well done. They all have the C1 prefix. And while they weren't remastered, the Capitol engineer at the time, a guy named Wally Troutman, who did a lot of the Beatles mastering stuff, boosted the levels. And the American Beatles vinyl has never sounded better. The poster board they use for the pressings, and they're almost always in good shape, because by the late 80s, vinyl was being phased out of record stores and people weren't buying a ton of Beatles vinyl. The Beatles CDs had come out the year before, not the American stuff. It's a Magical Mystery Tour. But if you're going to seek out Beatles vinyl, do your best to find ones that have the C1 catalog number. It's the best sounding, best looking American Beatles vinyl you can find. Now, an original mono copy on the Rainbow Capitol label is great, and the Apple American Beatles vinyls are cool, but I'm talking sound for these years. Man, this vinyl from 1988 is the best way to hear the American Beatles vinyl. They did it for all of the Beatles records, including Hey Jude. But Abbey Road and White Album and Pepper were all sorts from the digital masters, everything up through Revolver. And the American Revolver sucks. This is where being an American, I mean, there's many reasons to be embarrassed as an American. The last 4 years of our president was one.
I gotta say, the American Revolver, good album, great album. Lot of good hombres on that album. Okay, sold very well in China.
It's a great Trump, and Trump would totally fucking love American Revolver. He'd love that one. But so yeah, I have all of you. When I'm just showing Beatles 6 or Beatles VI, as I lovingly call it, but it just makes me laugh. But the American Beatles vinyl, everything but the early Beatles was issued on this. So for your viewers and listeners who are like, I really want to get to know the American vinyl, this is the analog to seek out. The last time these were ever available from an analog pressing in the States.
All I'm saying is Sleepy Joe doesn't even know about the Hey Jude album. That's all I'm saying. And Crooked Hillary is keeping the EP of Magical Mystery Tour away. We gotta lock her up. That's all I'm saying. I'm thinking of Alex Jones now.
Oh no, not that fucker. I'm so embarrassed for my country.
Why did they release Revolution 1 and Revolution together at the same year? It's the same song.
Sam, yeah.
I'm also just trying to think about all I can do now as well is You Won't See One. But
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Just a little tease of that for you. I love that intro. What a great fuck! Oh my God! Is there any better songwriter in history than Paul McCartney? The answer is no. Paul McCartney is the best songwriter in history. I know you're number 2. What, do you put John Lennon 2, or is Tom Waits above? Like, rank your songwriters.
I don't think John's in the top 10. John and Paul as a unit are number 1, but solo Lennon really doesn't do anything for me. You know, it's the first 2 albums and then Live in New York, which came out posthumously. But besides that, I do like Rock and Roll, but again, that's all covers.
Give Walls and Bridges a chance. Just dedicate some time to Walls and Bridges and you'll be converted. Don't put it on the background, put it on, listen to it. If you're into anything that may have a THC product, enjoy some of that and put on some Walls and Bridges and you'll dig it. Got to Get Down, you'll dig it. It's John doing kind of like a soul. There's a little funk on there. It's really good.
No, I mean, the only thing in terms of legality in this country, I can only listen to things with the 10cc content. That's about it.
You're not in love.
But my gosh. No, one of my favorite 10cc jokes is that when 2 of the guys left, it became 5cc.
It's a great bit. I struggle. Tony and I in the show have tried to discuss whether or not Dreadlock Holiday is offensive. I think you may have to cancel Dreadlock Holiday.
No,
that song might be
not as
offensive.
It's not as bad as Frozen Jap. That or Paul's all right, we're going down to New Orleans. Because
before I listen to what the man said,
that's not an impression of a white person. Let's just be very, very, very clear there.
Well, one of the most unfortunate John Lennon song titles, maybe we're going to allude to it right now. From the Sometime in New York City album. Didn't age well when it came out.
He may as well have just sung Mammy. You know what I mean? Just
Paul does that at the end of Tomorrow. Baby, don't let. Paul does Al Jolson at the end of Tomorrow from Wildlife. All right, so those are the items I had to show you. The only other thing, the first Beatles CD I ever got, this is the very last thing for you, Sam. It's called The Beatles First. It's the first American or CD that was available in America. I think it's a West German pressing. But this is basically the Tony Sheridan sessions. Kicks off with Ain't She Sweet, but the first Beatles song on compact disc in America was this in 1985 with John singing Ain't She Sweet.
That's pretty cool. That is
pretty fun.
Oh, I need to pick up a copy of The Best of the Beatles by Pete Best.
So
well.
bad.
One
Pete
of the great
Best singing boys. No,
No.
thank you.
I love me a good swindle, and that is one of the best swindles since the great rock and roll swindle by the Sex Pistols. Yeah, excellent stuff. But dude, excellent items. Thank you so much for that. That was really fun. It was great having you on as well. This has been, I'm not going to say King Kong versus Godzilla, but it's basically been King Kong versus Godzilla. This is a real, this is Batman versus Superman for me. This has been absolutely fantastic. Yeah, if I can think of any excuse to have you back on for a chat in the future, I am 100% gonna do that, even if it's just to inspire more spontaneous piano bursts,
Please, I will join you anytime. I know Tony would love to as well. And we do a show on Twitch periodically because we're both working. It's tough to do our Twitch show. We have a show called Twitch and Shout on a Twitch channel called Chicago for Real. And we just talk about basically kind of a little distillation of our podcast. It's live, no editing, but we'd love to have you on one of these days, Sam, and come join us on Twitch and just talk Beatles with us, please.
Yes, I will definitely do that. I'm sure I'll squeeze in a few more bad Trump impressions as well.
We'll take them.
Yeah,
we'll take them.
I'll work on.
We're not fans of that guy.
No,
Tony and I count ourselves among the resistance with pride.
I'll try and work. I'll try and work on an Obama and a Clinton and a Bush for you as well.
I'm gonna try and work on a Bush as well. It's hard when you're married. Okay, folks.
we guys are saying down in Texas, you fool me once on the hill, you won't get fooled again.
That's very good.
That is one of my favorite bits of it. We gotta make sure we that Americans put food on their families.
And yet I miss him. I never thought I'd say that phrase because he didn't want half the country to die. He
just wanted to find out how that little children's book ended. That's all he wanted. How did the book end?
Video that will never go away. Sam, thank you for having me on, and love your podcast. And we'll talk soon.
Yeah. This has been another episode of Macca in Your Attic. My guest has been TJ from the Untitled Beatles podcast. Also, probably my favorite name of a Beatles podcast out there. It's very meta and funny. Folks, thank you for watching this episode. Stick around. Hopefully, the next guest will be Tony himself. So, wicked. Peace and love. Play us out, Denny. Wow.
Peace and love. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to step on your out. I apologize.